The New Orleans Saints got a huge win on Sunday, and it had nothing to do with the scoreboard. We got all that and a little bit of lagniappe for you on today's episode of Locked On Saints.
You are Locked On Saints, your daily New Orleans Saints podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, Who Dat Nation and Who Dat family? I am your host, your friend, Ross Jackson, New Orleans native, your New Orleans Saints expert and credentialed member of the media covering those New Orleans Saints as a Saints beat writer over at LouisianaSports.net. And on today's episode of Locked On Saints, Demario Davis and Alontae Taylor lead a massive day for the New Orleans Saints defense. We'll go over what went right for Tyler Shough, rookie quarterback, and the New Orleans Saints offense as a whole. And we'll kick everything off with a look at the New Orleans Saints' biggest win, which was Tyler Shough proving them right in Week 10 up against the Carolina Panthers. We appreciate you very much, as always, whether it's your first time or your next time, being here with us this time, making it your first listen and being an everydayer here on the show, which is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is now, and by the way, thank you for making us the #1 sports podcasting network. We owe all of that to you. Today's episode brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, you can head over to FanDuel.com, get signed up, and if your first $5 bet wins as a new customer, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. Head over to FanDuel.com to get started. The New Orleans Saints got the biggest win they could have asked for in Week 10, not because they outscored the Carolina Panthers 17-7. Not because they got their second win of the season, Kellen Moore's second win of his head coaching career. Not because they came out on top in a divisional matchup. No, they won on Sunday because Tyler Shough proved them right. There were a lot of doubts around Tyler Shough when it came to being the 40th overall selection in the NFL draft as a 26-year-old rookie coming into the league. That was something that drew a lot of ire, that drew a lot of question marks, a lot of raised eyebrows amongst draft analysts. We even asked some questions around it as well here on the show. And it was all about wait and see when it came to Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough did not win the quarterback battle to begin as a starter in the 2025 season. And because of that, he got all of those weeks to sit back, watch, learn, and develop on the scout team. Got his opportunity in his first start last week up against the Los Angeles Rams and looked like the moment wasn't too big for him, which I thought was maybe the most important thing coming out of that game up against Los Angeles. It felt like he fit on the NFL stage. And this week, 1 week later, he gets the first win for a rookie quarterback starter in New Orleans since Dave Wilson in 1981. It's been 44 years since the Saints were able to get a win with a rookie quarterback starting, and Tyler Shough now etches his name in that category along with guys like Archie Manning, Larry Sippa, and others. And so for the Saints, this is what they needed. It wasn't all about the win. It wasn't all about the scoreboard. It was about the quarterback. And the Saints and Saints fans saw a lot of the things that they were looking for when it came to this game. We wanted to see him improve under pressure after Pro Football Focus notched him 0 of 5. I disagree with that. I think he was 1 of 6 for a big completion down the field to Chris Olave. But overall, not good enough under pressure, which was the big knock on him coming into the NFL this week. Fantastic under pressure. Moving around, extending plays, getting into some of those second action throws that he highlighted in preseason and in the training camp. Getting into some of these other opportunities to be aggressive as well. Averaged 10.4 yards per attempt, the most for the New Orleans Saints since Week 10 up against the Atlanta Falcons back last year, an opponent that they're set to face here in 2 weeks after going through the bye week. And of course, elevating the team to a victory. The New Orleans Saints defense played very well. Let up only 7 points. That was on the opening drive with a really, really weak roughing the passer call effectively being what made that possible. But then after that, the Saints defense completely clamped up. They took Rico, Dowdle, the Carolina Panthers run game out of the game. They made Bryce Young, the young quarterback, go out there and try to beat him with his arm, which they knew they had a good opportunity to make sure it didn't happen. But make no mistake about it. Tyler Shough went out and took the field and became a reason the New Orleans Saints won that game. Because he was able to extend plays, because he was able to find open receivers, because he was able to generate explosive plays and played incredibly proficiently on third downs, in particular, converting 6 of the team's 8 third down conversions through the air. He kept drives alive, he kept plays alive, and therefore kept this team alive and kept that offense running to the point to where they went from having just 16 minutes and 7 seconds of time of possession last week, the lowest in the franchise's history, to coming into this matchup and dominating time of possession, having 33 plus minutes of time of possession in this one because they were able to string drives together. Were there drives where the Saints could have gotten 7 but got 3, could have gotten 7 or 3 but walked away with 0? Yes, 100%. There were some decisions that Kellen Moore made throughout this game that had me shaking my head, including kicking a field goal inside the 5 early on in the game. Inexcusable. However, for New Orleans, the bottom line is that beyond those moments where in some cases it felt like the Saints' play calling held them back, the quarterback did not hold them back. The quarterback, in fact, in my opinion, elevated this team. He elevated talent around him. He had 2 core guys that he relied upon in Chris Olave, giving him his first 100-plus yard receiving game of the season. And then also Juwan Johnson, who got over 90 yards, caught all 5 of his targets. No drops from Juwan Johnson today. Found a way to get it all done. Got Foster Morrow going in the passing game as well. Got the running backs going in the passing game. Our first big breakaway screen that we've seen from this team in some time. That was pretty good, putting together the rhyme. Devin Neal getting involved in the passing game with a nice catch and run for a first down. He distributed the football. Targeted Devon Vele 3 times. Still want to see more from him. Still want to see more from Kellen Moore in utilizing him. Still want to see more from Tyler Shough in targeting him, but got him involved. And so the Saints finding ways through their young quarterback to win this game, I think, was the biggest win for the Saints, all told, even beyond the actual game result itself. The Saints needed a win, not just on the scoreboard, not just on their record. They needed a win at quarterback. And they got one definitively in this game. Now, quarterback is all about consistency. And so doing it again and doing it again and doing it again is going to be way more important than doing it first or doing it once. That's not going to matter if you can't put it all together. But Tyler Shough needed to show some promise. Tyler Shough wanted to prove the team that invested in him right, and he did exactly both of those things on Sunday up against Carolina. Let's discuss next how he did it. What worked, what didn't work, and what worked for the offense as a whole. We'll break all that down up next as we continue on with today's episode of Locked On Saints, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Today's episode of Locked On Saints is brought to you by our friends over at Rippling. If you are a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS, S-A-A-S, promised to make your work easier, but now the average company is buried under hundreds of different apps that slow down your team. So they simply just don't work together. That's not SaaS, SSAS. That's SAD, SAAD, software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Covers everything from global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place, helping millions of businesses replace all the mess in those disconnected tools that you otherwise have at your disposal. So whether you want to run your entire HR, IT, or finance operations as one, or just fill the gaps with a software stack, Rippling can do it all. Right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnfl. That's RIPPLING.com/lockedonnfl. Rippling.com/lockedonnfl for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, family. The New Orleans Saints did some things in this game that they have not done for a while. So let's highlight the things that worked for Tyler Shough and this New Orleans Saints offense, starting off with how brilliant Tyler Shough was under pressure. This was the big and most important question mark around Tyler Shough. We named a bunch of things that he did well on Friday and mentioned some of the things that you wanted to maybe see some progress in pressure or conditions under pressure, passing under pressure was a big part of that. And probably was the most important thing that we were looking at, right? Like, good quarterbacks handle themselves under pressure. Good quarterbacks make good decisions, not when the game is easy, but when the game is challenging. And under pressure is when the game is most challenging for a quarterback. And we watched Tyler Shough rise to the occasion. I mentioned earlier, Pro Football Focus had him charted as 0 of 5 last week when under pressure. Again, I disagree with that number. I think he was actually 1 of 6. But still, 1 of 6 for 27 yards, not great, right? Not great. And so you wanted to see some improvement there, and you got it. According to Pro Football Focus and True Media, he was 5 of 6 for 99 yards and a touchdown with a perfect 158.3 passer rating. That included him also being sacked twice. So he was pressured on 9, dropped back, scrambled once, and then had 6 passing attempts while also having a couple of sacks. Also picked up multiple first downs in those situations as well. We wanted to see the composure. We wanted to see the maturity of Tyler Shough, and he showed it. Now, Carolina Panthers aren't known pressure generators. It's not a defensive line that strikes fear in you, but when pressure is present, pressure is still present, and he needed to be able to show that he can manage that. I thought he did an excellent job of doing exactly that. He'll have a bigger test in his next one, right? He saw the Los Angeles Rams and the great edge rushers that they have there. He went up against the Carolina Panthers and what they have to offer. Now, next week, they'll have the bye week, and then after that, Atlanta, some good pass rushers there. In fact, they loaded up on pass rushers in the draft, free agency, things like that. And so we'll see how Tyler Shough is able to do that. But Tyler Shough didn't just manage pressure by standing in the pocket and delivering. He did do that. But beyond that, he moved. Very, very good pocket navigation. Good understanding that bailing out is not always the right decision, that sometimes stepping up is going to clear you and get you your opportunity to be able to do that. That's a lot of trust in the offensive line. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that he trusts the offensive line, even though there are 3 backups, when all 3 of those backups spent a lot of time with him on the scout team. And so even though you had Luke Fortner at center, you had Dylan Radins at left guard after the Saints traded away Trevor Penning. Of course, Luke Fortner starting at center because of the injury to Eric McCoy that ended his season out in Chicago. Taliesin Fuanga starting right tackle was out. Awesome Richards was in his place. All 3 of those players are guys that Tyler Shough knows well, having taken scout team reps with those players. And you could tell that he trusted the offensive line along with his 2 starters that remain in Cesar Ruiz at right guard, as well as Kelvin Banks Jr., who might have just played his best game as a pro. He was awesome. Kelvin Banks Jr. was absolutely awesome in this game. How about third down? We talked about how Tyler Shough continued to extend plays, but also extended drives. Well, here's an example for you about what I mean from that. He was 7 of 10 on third downs, passed for 288 total yards in the game. Okay, 282. My apologies. 282 passing yards in the game for Tyler Shough. 7 of 10 on third down. 201 of his total passing yards came on third down. Both of his touchdowns on third down, and over a 145 passer rating on third down. He was clutch. And oh, by the way, also converted 6 first downs through the air on those 7 completions on third down as well. The Saints converted 8 of their 17 third down opportunities. Also converted some fourth down opportunities as well. And a lot of that had to do with Tyler Shough. And in some cases, navigating the pocket, finding the open man, delivering, and doing that on third down, staying alive and finding the right way to continue to pick up some of these yards. We saw things against the Carolina Panthers defense that were dealt by New Orleans that we're used to seeing other teams do against the New Orleans defense. Be annoying and scramble on third down and find the outlet that ends up picking up the first down on a 9-yard catch when 11 of them were after the catch, right? Or, finding big broken plays downfield. How long has it been, right? So seeing things like that, Tyler Shough did a wonderful job of all that. Speaking of those broken plays, a lot of those were outside the numbers. Tyler Shough also found a lot of success, as did the Saints offense, outside the numbers. 11 of 16 for 202 yards, and both touchdowns were outside the numbers. Juwan Johnson and Chris Olave were fantastic on the perimeter throughout the game, especially Chris Olave. How about those catches? Out hand fighting J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn got bullied this entire game by the Saints offense. But out hand fighting J.C. Horn to the point to where J.C. Horn fell down. And then you get this big 67-yard catch and run touchdown to Chris Olave down the right sideline. Exactly what it is that he has been. And I'm not saying this lightly. I'm saying this because wide receiver coach Keith Williams told us the story himself on Friday. Chris Olave got what he has been complaining about, what he has been saying. He has gotten on to his coaches about giving him more opportunities downfield. Today you saw why. Not just the big catch and run for a career-long catch for a touchdown down the right sideline, but how about the one-handed twirling catch down the left sideline later on in the game when they needed it, right? So those big moments. And then seeing all of these kind of catch and run, Juwan Johnson finding ways to make himself available when plays break down. We saw that twice in this game. We saw it once last week. This is the second week in a row now that Tyler Shough has found Juwan Johnson as the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 27th read on a play, got it to him in position for him then to be able to go out there and pick up the extra yards to find his way into the end zone 2 straight weeks. That he was able to get that done. How about 10 plus yards? Dealing downfield. Again, we saw that against Los Angeles, saw that here. The Saints were excellent there. They completed 6 of their 10 passes for 191 yards and 2 touchdowns when the ball was thrown more than 10 yards downfield. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, 10.4 yards per attempt on this game was the most since week 10 in 2024, most this season as well. Everything that worked for Tyler Shough worked for the New Orleans Saints offense. And because of that, the run game got going. How about Devin Neal averaging 5.5 yards per carry, and Alvin Kamara putting together one of his strongest games of the season, not just as a receiver on that screen, but also as a rusher late in the game. And the Saints being able to take Tyler Shough out, put him on the sideline, put Taysom Hill in, and just run the clock out. Yeah, maybe you want to give your rookie quarterback the opportunity to do that. Let him be on the field to run the clock out in his first career victory. I 100% get that. But there's something to build off of when it comes to what the Saints have done here because of everything that worked on offense. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot to build off of over on defense as well. The Saints defense probably is going to look a lot different next year, but if personnel-wise, but if as a unit they look like what they looked like against the Carolina Panthers, the Saints might have one of the best defenses in the NFL next season. Let's get to that next as we continue on with today's episode of Locked On Saints, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Now, they do a lot more than the NBA as well. You have the NFL that you can get in on. Hopefully, maybe you got in on this up against the Carolina Panthers. The Saints win in that situation, big-time upset. They were 5.5-point underdogs going into the game, but there's also live betting. So even if you missed the beginning of the game, maybe you want to ride the hot hand or bet on a 4th quarter comeback, you can do all that over with FanDuel today. And you can even put live bets together for a chance at an even larger payout in a live game, same game parlay. How cool is that? It's one of my favorite things about FanDuel. I love the live betting stuff. So you can find all that and more over at FanDuel today. And right now with FanDuel, they're giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. So head over to FanDuel.com today to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Let's get it, Who Dat Nation. The New Orleans Saints defense was a huge part of this victory as well, bringing in massive performances from two very important players. Linebacker Demario Davis, who continues to age like a fine wine, and then Alontae Taylor, who was all over the field for the team. I want to start with the two of them. Both of them were excellent throughout this game. Demario Davis getting into backfields, creating some issues there. I also had a situation to where he had an interception, but a really, I'll just call it what it is, a soft roughing the passer penalty, which is just kind of the brand of the NFL yet again this season when it comes to officiating, which continues to be awful around the league. But it erases that. But even outside of that, getting into the backfield, making plays, having some big hits, being awesome in the run game. There were times where you could just absolutely see that he knew what was coming. We saw the offensive line, the Panthers offensive line kind of get to one side. He read that play flow and then bang, got back there to be able to make some plays. Absolutely limited this Carolina Panthers game in its run game, which has been the lifeblood of this team throughout the 2025 season so far, with Rico Dowdle in particular, who's having a breakout season. Held him under 60 rushing yards, held the team under 4 yards per carry in Carolina as well. Just an excellent job by the Saints defense. And also, there were other guys that contributed when it came to the run game as well. Alontae Taylor did. How about Jonathan Bullard getting back there, making some big plays? Nathan Shepard had a great game, also had a sack. Cam Jordan getting a sack. Brian Brzee making some plays in the run game. He is probably my most improved player when it comes to run stuffing, like run defense for New Orleans, something that they absolutely needed. And so finding all of these pieces coming together and having this massive success of a game here in week 10 of the 2025 season brings a lot of promise for what this defensive system can be, because it goes to show that when the execution of the system is there, the system works. The rules that they're being taught, the fundamentals that are there before the game. Demario was giving the pregame speech, and one of the biggest things that he said all throughout was alignment and assignment. Those are the big things that were really important to them going into this game. It wasn't, and it's funny because you don't expect to hear, hey, pay attention to your fundamentals in a pregame speech, right? But it's what the Saints needed, and it's what they did, right? He talked about their eyes, paying attention, putting their, using their eyes in the right way. That killed him last week up against the Los Angeles Rams with the play action in the backfield, in particular the Y leaks to the tight ends and things like that. Like, eye discipline was a big issue for them last week. This week, fantastic. This week, one missed tackle. This week, no blown coverages. There were some situations to where some space was given. That's going to happen when you're playing zone defenses and you're not making breaks on the football just yet as much as maybe you'd like to see the Saints defense do, but that will come in time. But you look at Alontae Taylor, who we mentioned last week is in the midst of that contract negotiation with the team, is vying for himself to get paid, I'm sure. And this was a performance that did exactly that. Interception, tackle for a loss, near sack, multiple pressures, huge play on a fourth down, huge play on the third down before that as well. He was all over the field, disruptive, had a huge smile on his face after the game. That is the Alontae Taylor game plan right there. Cut him loose and let him be disruptive. That's what Brandon Staley's wanted from the beginning. That's what Alontae Taylor wanted the moment that he found out that Brandon Staley was going to be his defensive coordinator, because he knew the way that Brandon Staley used guys like Asante Samuel Jr. and Jalen Ramsey in the past. He wanted that freedom. He wanted those opportunities. He got it in this game. I mentioned in the squad show, Alontae Taylor has said before that Baker Mayfield's his favorite quarterback because that's who he got his first career interception against. I think he needs to change his answer. I think it's Bryce Young. Several sacks against Bryce Young throughout his career. Interception now. Lots of pressure, big hits on the quarterback. Just lives rent-free in Bryce Young's head, I'm sure, every time that the Saints and Panthers meet. And Alontae Taylor had a big-time statement victory, because not only did Alontae Taylor have a big-time statement game in terms of the numbers that he put up, but his energy permeated throughout the rest of the defense. Same thing for Demario Davis. Just the energy and the I think it was Kellen Moore said after the game, he talked about the joy with which that team played. You saw it for all 60 minutes. And I'll take that from defense and apply that to the offense. Apply that to special teams as well. How about Nathan Shepard getting the team's second blocked field goal of the season? That's 4 blocked field goals in the last 2 years, most in the NFL in that 2-year stretch. Those are big moments for New Orleans. And they need, I keep highlighting big moments because they need those big moments. They needed to show that they could put together all the little details and with the little details create a lot of impact. And that's exactly what the Saints did in this game. A couple of things that you'd like to see get a little bit better. 6 penalties for 60 yards. Some of the penalties were bogus calls. I get it, but you still can't put yourself in some of those situations, right? And a lot of those penalties happened on 3rd downs. So you'd like to see the Saints get over that. Whatever that lack of discipline is that Kellen Moore and the Saints have not been able to figure out yet. They've got to get that figured out in those big moments. Still some accuracy stuff that you want to see get a little bit better over on the offensive side, but that's nitpicking a bit. And then would love to see Kellen Moore getting Tyler Shough involved in more designed runs. You don't have to do that while you have Taysom Hill, though, so I get it. But just to add another wrinkle to this offense, I'm very, very curious now that the Saints have this confidence to build off of for the next couple of weeks, how they continue to push forward as a team, beginning with this bye week and then coming out against Atlanta. So the Saints got what they needed from Tyler Shough, from their defense, and from special teams too, which hasn't been massively reliable here throughout the season. And so all things heading in a good direction here after week 10. Now let's see if this team can put it all together and keep it going forward from here. We appreciate you very much as always for being here with us. We'll see you tomorrow when we dive through and go through all the Tyler Shough snaps, and I'll give you all my thoughts from those. Thank you very much for making us a part of your day, part of your routine, for saying yes to me on the show. If you see me, please say hi. If you need anything else around your New Orleans Saints in between these episodes, make sure you follow me on your favorite social media at Ross Jackson, NOLA. Hit me up. Let me know how the family's doing, how you living. Let me know how you momming them. And trust Who Dat Nation, I'll holla at you.